Thanks for staying with us. Now, the Supreme Court of Ghana says it will deliver its verdict on the vacant seat case on Tuesday, November 12, 2024. Now, this follows the conclusion of arguments presented by the plaintiff and the Attorney General, who also serves as the Minister for Justice. Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonum announced the date after hearing both sides, indicating that the court is prepared to provide clarity on the matter. Let's get more on this and bring in Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante. He's been following the case in court since the case started. He joins us live with updates. Kweku, what exactly happened in court today? Kweku, you have to unmute for me to hear you clearly whilst we work our lines to bring in Kweku Asante. Let's listen to the Majority Leader, Alexander Feyomarkin. Immediately after the Supreme Court's verdict, he addressed the media. In fact, he says the NPP caucus in Parliament is bleeding under the leadership of Speaker Alban Bagbin.
We will want to avail ourselves to Mr. Speaker's olive branch. We want Mr. Speaker to demonstrate the statesmanship that he's always known to be. On this occasion, it's been disappointing. But we will not give up, because we believe that upon reflection, Mr. Speaker will do the needful. All that the NDC guys are doing, okay, he knows about it. And he would have to call them to order. Else he will be complicit, as we see him to be. He's the head of the assembly. Parliament no esegu no so de ekoso no enye yesre Mr. Speaker so omboa na asomdwembra Parliament oma NDC fo no ensori mfi bebi omote enkotena omakwanya so yenye enkotena so enye yekwanya no yekwanya ne de ewo ne nifa omote ne benkum onka ncha ne NDC fo no monko ene ncha se yembu no yebu no pa ye papa no na de oye no enye ese ye ka no kreche no.
Well, thanks for staying with us. We'll be taking you live to give you updates as to what exactly happened in court. Kweku Asante will be joining me in the studio shortly. But we have Yusuf Sulemana. He's on the NDC side of the House. He's the NDC MP for Boli. Thank you for your time here on JN today. I just want to get your brief reaction. The leader of the NPP caucus in Parliament, the Majority Leader Alexander Feyomarkin, today accused the Speaker of Parliament of being unfair to the NPP caucus in Parliament. He also says the NPP is bleeding under this leadership. You're on the NDC side. Is there a deliberate attempt to frustrate the NPP?
Let me say good afternoon to our viewers and our listeners.
Good afternoon.
I want to find out, did you refer to Honorable Feyomarkin as the Majority Leader?
Yes, I did.
If that is so, then I want to make this correction. As we talk, he is the Minority Leader representing the NPP side in Parliament. Now,
on what
your question is
basis
whether
do you
or not
make this argument, Mr. Sulemana?
Yes.
On what basis do you make this argument?
Yeah, so 4 seats were declared vacant by the Speaker of Parliament. And we know that if you take those numbers out of their number, you will realize that they would have been in the minority.
Yeah, but
and
the
so
Supreme Court has ruled, staying the execution of that judgment, Mr. Sulemana. So let's stick to the substantive issue. You are on the NDC side of the House. I want to find out from you, do you feel there is a deliberate attempt to frustrate the NPP side?
I rather think that the Speaker has been very, very fair to them. And some of us believe that Speaker is treating them with kid gloves. The way he's tolerating them and the way he's relating with them, and to some extent sometimes we feel that he even bends the rules in order to accommodate them. And so I do not think that the Speaker is maltreating them. I do not think that the Speaker is favoring the NDC side.
They also advanced the argument that should they have entered Parliament on that day where they called for an emergency sitting, there would have been chaos because the NDC caucus deliberately occupied the majority aisles of the House. Should the House be recalled, would you still occupy the majority aisles of the House?
First of all, let me state clearly that I do not think that there would have been any chaos. And if there was going to be any chaos, then it would have been coming from them. The first time that we went to Parliament after the Speaker had communicated to us about the 4 vacant seats, what we saw was a group of MPP members in honorable Adodon Press T-shirts in their numbers in Parliament. What were they doing there? That day, if the NDC had also brought our supporters, what would have happened? And so if there's anything about chaos and violence, they should be the ones to be suspicious. We should be suspicious of them. That day, if they had entered and gone to sit at the left-hand side of Mr. Speaker, if Mr. Speaker had any communication relating to the decision that was made by Supreme Court, Mr. Speaker would have communicated that to us. And if the communication was to the effect that the 4 members are called back and that they were going to continue to be members of Parliament, we, the majority now, would have simply moved to the left-hand side to become minority, and then business will continue. This is the House of Records. It is in the hands that we have become majority because the numbers from the other side decreased by 3. And so to set the records right, they needed to go and sit at the minority side. The Speaker will communicate to us the decision from the Supreme Court. Then this will be captured in our hands, and from there, we could have gone to take the minority side, and then we know that the status quo has been retained. Anything outside this, we will be distorting the records in Parliament. Anything outside this will not have a complete reportage of the proceedings of Parliament regarding these issues as supposed to be captured in the Hansard. And so, to your question, that when Parliament is recalled, whether we will sit at the right or at the left, we will sit at the right-hand side of Mr. Speaker until Mr. Speaker officially communicates to us that the Supreme Court ruling is taking effect. We have not heard anything from anybody. We are a House of Records, and the person to communicate official information to us is the Speaker of Parliament, and he's the only person that we are waiting for to give us directives.
Yusuf Suleimana, thank you for your time here on JN Today. Let me bring in Kweku Asante, our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. You've been in court for us because you're also a key member of our legal desk. Run us through the key happenings. We know that verdict will be declared tomorrow, but what happened exactly today in court? Well,
Faustina, today there was no representation from the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin. There was no representation from the legal department of the House. Thaddeus Sorry, who has been representing the Speaker throughout this process, did not turn up in court today. There was no explanation, and we haven't had that. The Supreme Court did take judicial notice of that. We heard from the Chief Justice, who did declare in open court, announced that there has been no representation by the Speaker, and neither has the Speaker or his lawyers filed any process in court, their segment of case or anything for that matter. So we heard from Joe Gatti, who led the team on behalf of Alexander Fenyomakin, Joe Gatti, Samuel Atachia, and Pakwesi Abedu, and led by Joe Gatti himself, a former Attorney General. He made the point that if you read the Constitution, you will come to the conclusion that the Speaker is wrong, and that any stretch of any imagination, you read 97(1)(g) and 8, it is clear that 97(1)(g) and 8 is expected to take effect, one, in a future Parliament, but also the fact that when it comes to a member of Parliament who is said to have vacated the seat by virtue of being an independent MP, it must be because that person has cross-carpeted and nothing of that sort has been done. And then we heard from Attorney General Godfrey Debo-Adame, who said that the Speaker's conduct had upset or upstaged the constitutional order of the country, and the Speaker of Parliament had done so illegally. The Attorney General himself sought to get the court to take a very dim view of Thaddeus Sorry's absence in court. He impressed on the court to actually impute or say something about the absence of Thaddeus Sorry. Some of the judges were not interested. They made their point as to why they thought Thaddeus Sorry was not present. He said it is not really an important matter for this. And so the arguments have now been heard. A substantive case itself was said today The arguments have been made, and tomorrow, 9 o'clock a.m., the 7-member panel presided over by the Chief Justice herself, Gertrude Tokono, will get into what exactly they think, what they make of Article 97(1) G and H of the Constitution. They will affirm either the order made by the Speaker of Parliament declaring those 4 seats vacant, or they would say, upon a true and proper interpretation, the Speaker was wrong in his interpretation for Senate.
I'll bring in Vincent Echo shortly, but I just want to wrap up with you. We heard from a very frustrated majority leader today, some of the key concerns he raised, detailing some of the backdoor conversation he had with the Speaker of Parliament. Run us through that as we wrap up.
Yeah, so according to Alexander Fenyamakin, he has made several attempts to reach the Speaker. In fact, he has gone to his office, he has not met him, he has gone to his house, the private home of the Speaker. He still haven't been able to reach the Speaker. He says the Speaker should not conduct himself as a king or as an emperor, and that as far as they are concerned, they are really willing to use the legal process to actually get this legal dispute resolved. And there is no way they will take the minority seat in Parliament. It is not even good spiritually for them, in his own words. And so they are inviting the Speaker of Parliament to do what they call the right thing in this matter. Ask the NDC MPs to take the minority side, let them come and take their majority side and do government business.
Thank you, Kwekwa Asante. Let me bring in Vincent Ekoe-Sefwa. He's Member of Parliament and also on the NPP caucus. He's also a lawyer, just to get his perspective on things. We heard from a frustrated majority leader, and you're a member of the majority, but we'll get your reactions to that shortly. Let me focus on the legalities of the issue. One, some people, they have advanced the argument that should the NPP caucus have entered Parliament on that day they called for an emergency sit-in, this whole issue would have ended. Your thoughts? Unfortunately, we've lost connection to Vincent Echo. We're just trying to reconnect to him to get his thoughts about some of the key things that have happened in Parliament. We know that the Supreme Court will be deciding the fate of that case filed by Alexander Fenyamakin seeking interpretation of Article 97(1) G and H of the Constitution. I'm told I have connection back to Echo. Echo, thank you for your time here on JoyNews Today. I just wanted to get your thoughts. Some people have advanced the argument that should the NPP caucus have just entered Parliament on that day they called for an emergency sit-in, all this issue would have been squashed. Your thoughts? Unfortunately, I still don't have clear connection to Vincent. We're just giving you an update as to what exactly happened in Parliament. Now, away from Parliament to other issues, well, some members of Parliament on the ticket of the opposition National Democratic Congress have submitted a private member's bill to repeal some taxes introduced by government. The NDC MPs say the betting tax, COVID-19 levy and emission levy bill are obnoxious and must be repealed. Well, on your screens now are details of those levies that they plan to repeal, and it's coming up shortly. Just give you a thought what is happening in Parliament. We heard from Francis Xavier Sosu, a key member of the NDC, serving notice that they want to repeal the betting tax. Well, another tax that they plan to repeal is the COVID-19 Health Recovery Act 2021 Act 1068, and they plan to repeal the COVID-19 levy. They also plan to repeal the Income Tax Amendment Act 2023, Act 1094. They plan to repeal the withholding tax rate on winnings from lottery, which is the betting tax as we popularly know it. And they also plan to repeal another key act, the Emissions Levy Act 2023, Act 1112. They plan to remove the emissions levy on carbon dioxide equivalent emissions. Well, away from Parliament, the French government says it is now cautious in the manner in which it lends long-term loans to the Republic of Ghana. The European country played a pivotal role under the Paris Club framework, which worked out an external debt restructuring plan that unlocked a $3 billion bailout from the International Monetary Fund. Overall, Ghana has been cushioned from the immediate impact of this, immediately paying $5.1 billion to external creditors as a result of a sovereign debt crisis. Well, my colleague Blessed Kusuga has more in this report.
2023-2024 France-Ghana Economic Report has revealed a sharp decline in sovereign commitments which Ghana receives from France, one of the country's official bilateral creditors. Credits, which reached a record high level of €236 million in 2011, has now been reduced to €56 million, a situation the report attributes to Ghana's exclusion from sovereign loans. Ghana's Finance Minister, Mohamed Amin Adam, is hopeful that more French support will pour in for Ghana, which finds itself in an economic crisis.
We got in the restructuring of our official bilateral debts with our official bilateral creditors, some $5.1 billion United States dollars that we owe to you and other official bilateral creditors had to be restructured through your support, through your leadership. Really demonstrated to me that this relationship cannot be taken for granted. So you can help us create the jobs our people are looking for. You can help us create income that we can share as shared prosperity.
In the wake of the decline in French commitments, questions are emerging over whether or not France will give more support to Ghana, which is now in dire need of liquidity support. Jean-Noel Blanc is head of the Economic Department at the French Embassy in Ghana.
But you know, currently we are working with the Ghanaian government on three sovereign loan, concessional loans. Yeah. So in two areas in particular, so healthcare and maritime security. So I would say that the France support to Ghana is a continuing task, So we didn't stop anything. So of course we are very cautious in the way we are, lending some money to Ghana because of the debt. But at the end of the day, there is still three sovereign loan, with the government of Ghana in the two areas I mentioned just previously. So I think that after the crisis, we are going to continue to support Ghana with such loans, with a very, very low rate of interest and a maturity which is very long to support Ghana, in a long race of modernization.
But for now?
We have three sovereign loans. So,
are you open to more?
I'm open to more. It depends on the project.
Later this week, President Akufo-Addo is expected in Paris, as experts hope this will provide an opportunity for Ghana to secure or work out another credit line. Blaise Ogun's report for JoyNews, Accra.
Well, this is your election headquarters, and let's do some election-related stories. The Secondary High Court, presided over by His Lordship Justice Jan Konto, has lifted the injunction which resulted in the non-recognition of the Amenfi Central Parliamentary candidate by the Electoral Commission. The National Democratic Congress has filed a fresh writ at the Secondary High Court following the EC's refusal to recognize Joan Jan Kujo as the duly elected NDC candidate for Amenfi Central, despite a previous High Court ruling in Secondary on the 13th of May 2024, which had ordered that Kujo be acknowledged as the legitimate candidate. Today, at the Secondary High Court, Her Lordship Justice Jan Konto indicated and vacated the injunction directed to the EC to include the candidature of Joan Jan Kujo in the notice of poll, giving way for her to contest the Amenfi Central Parliamentary election. Away from that, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has announced that government will, from December 1, 2024, provide free dialysis treatment for all kidney patients under the National Health Insurance Scheme. Addressing a stakeholder meeting at Old Tafo, the presidential candidate of the governing New Patriotic Party outlined government's effort to support needy patients with the cost of treatment through the NHIS.
national health insurance no na egu yebaye yedi ye pija national health insurance no yedi sika akoshem na uhwe so a eyare na national health insurance enhwe wo no yedi aka ho childhood cancer ene mkoda omonya cancer yehwe free under national health insurance ene the tosumi sickle cell sufferers omonya sickle cell yare yehwe free under national health insurance the tosumi na miensa asofoka ho say kidney dialysis say yaba no ene ampa ngofo bebre nya kidney problems enti hia dialysis dialysis no so sikano doso nipa bebre ntimi entua sa sikano enti 6 months ago ye started pilot say the dialysis no beba national health insurance so nipa na umuye over 60 any under 18 for the last 6 months umuji dialysis under national health insurance free so pilot no the pilot no eba ewiye from December 1st this year from December 1st all kidney dialysis patients umubeji under national health insurance free for kidney dialysis from December 1st.
Well, that's how we wrap up the bulletin. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Safo. Good afternoon.